Hello everyone, welcome back to a brand new video today, and today I actually wanted to talk about something today. Because I saw a movie the other day, and I frankly haven't been able to stop thinking about it. It's not new or anything, it's just an older film, but it's called Trick or Treat. It's an anthology movie, set in this universe where there's different little horror-themed shorts going on at the same time, connected by one character, Sam. I watched this movie the other day, and honestly, I had a thought to myself, this movie has no sequels at all. Which I thought was really weird considering this seems like a perfect kind of movie to get sequels. So I thought maybe I should make just a fun little video talking about what could possibly be a sequel to this movie and what that could possibly look like. Disclaimer, if you don't know, this movie is actually officially getting a sequel. It's going to be directed by Michael Dougherty. So just let that know. It is coming out now, but it took so long. And I still think this is one of those franchises that could get multiple installments. So I'm actually just going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about why it's a good idea to make this movie and possible ideas for this movie, because it's a genius premise, honestly. The first point I have is because I think these movies strive from creative freedom. And they do. The first film is a prime example of that. I won't directly spoil it if you haven't seen it already, because I actually think it's a pretty essential Halloween movie if you haven't seen it. But I still want to talk about it. But I will be slightly alluding to things that happened in the first film, but I'm not going to be outright spoiling it, just so people who want to go watch it can go watch it. But this franchise, I think, has unlimited potential for what it could do with its stories. It's an anthology stories, so it has 4 different anthology films basically smashed into one film, and they're vastly different from one another, and they usually go for this sort of dark comedy feel. I think this is basically a perfect way how to make a horror movie these days, and I don't actually see enough people do it well enough, but I think like a franchise like Trick or Treat could be pretty awesome in how it actually like puts all these stories together, and how it just keeps going with that, and you don't need to bring back the original cast, because you're doing your own thing every single time. The only thing that would return is Sam, who is basically the poster child for the first film. He's going to be in the second one apparently, but he's the only character that has existed in this franchise that is probably going to be transferring from film to film, because it's like this dark entity that kind of ties all these films together, which is his purpose in the first film. Another reason I really wanted this movie to be made is we don't really get a whole lot of traditional slashers anymore. Like we do get, like, you know, our Halloweens. That's ending, thank God, if you haven't seen my new video on it. That's ending. But we really don't get that many noteworthy slashers. We never really get them. X was a good example of one we got in Pearl. It's not technically a slasher, but it has slasher elements. But we don't get enough of them. And I think this film could be a perfect segue back into that kind of filmmaking, because I honestly miss it, because it's so entertaining, and I just don't understand why they don't make them anymore, because they seem pretty low risk, high reward to make as well. So honestly, we should just get these films back. I think it's a perfect opportunity. The real reason I want a sequel to this get made is so we can get more interesting sort of creature films, like these sort of really dark and twisted horror themed shorts. I think there's some real value there and real good opportunity to make some films, like some stories about characters you wouldn't normally get. So I've actually made a list. I'm actually going to go through some of these characters, and I'm actually going to say it to you and explain why I think they would actually be perfect for a Trick or Treat sequel. And the first one I had was a swamp creature of some capacity. We all know about like the creature from the Black Lagoon. Even if you haven't seen it, you've heard the myth of this reptilian sort of creature living in the swamp. And I think a dark comedy would be a perfect place for a story like this to thrive. Like, I'm not going to go specifically into like plot details or anything, because I'm no director. I wish I was, but I'm not. But I think this character has a lot of really cool opportunities, not only for just jump scares, but a really cool plot in general. The next one I have is just a classic, just witches in general. If you haven't seen Robert Eggers' The Witch, you probably think that witches are just kind of jokes, like the butt end of a joke. That movie's scary. There is so much opportunity, I think, with these, especially with just the dark element of this supernatural, and how you don't have to go full into supernatural, you can kind of just scratch the surface, but also have some really creepy imagery and sound design. Oh my god, it would be crazy, I think, if they actually got a genuinely terrifying witch movie like Robert Eggers. That'd be friggin' crazy, and honestly, I really hope we get films like that, because we don't get enough of those sort of different films. Because we usually just get zombie films and killers, mass killers. That's fine and all, we can get more of that, I want more of that. But we never get the unique stuff like vampires or werewolves. We never get that, and it's honestly a shame because those are such great ideas for films and they just don't ever come to fruition. Another character I had was actually the Mothman. Now I understand that this character is a joke to many people, and I understand that this is just kind of another butt end of a joke. But we have never gotten, I feel, an actual good or interesting film, or even like side plot with this character. And I actually think there's a lot of like really creepy imagery they could go with for this movie. Think like Fly meets Friday the 13th in a way. Like the Fly and Friday the 13th had a baby. That would be, honestly, a pretty creepy film in my opinion. Having this like man fly through the trees and just killing people one by one. I think that'd be incredibly unique style of film, because we don't usually get films where the creature or it's actually in the air. It's usually something that's chasing them down on foot. So how scary would it be if they're actually just flying in the air chasing or stalking someone? I think there's some real opportunity there to make an interesting film. And not only that, the Mothman is already shrouded in mystery. If you don't know, this legend came from a folktale somewhere in, I believe it was Iowa, I think. A bridge was actually destroyed and a lot of people died, and people had a lot of reports saying that there was this flying creature that may have caused this bridge to break. And honestly, that's a really creepy thing to think about, is that there could be something like that out there that breaks bridges. Is it real? No, probably not. This is just a folktale, of course, but you know, the idea is there, and I think it could be really interesting. The next villain I have on this list is like a headless horseman type character. These guys don't get any sort of recognition when it comes to films ever, and I think it's because it's not as like marketable as something like a zombie or a werewolf, and that's understandable. But I think for something like Trick or Treat, you could bring a really twisted and dark approach to a character like this, and I think you could have some really interesting sort of scares with this character, with him riding a horse through the night, and then just like screaming and all the amazing sound design that could come with something like this. I think it could be a really cool idea. And then my last one, of course, is a personal favorite of mine. It's Wendigos or Skinwalkers. These guys never get film adaptations. The last one I saw was Antlers, and it was bad. It wasn't a great movie. It was super depressing, which I get, but there was no fun to it, and it kind of missed what made Skinwalker so scary. And honestly, I'm really shocked we haven't got any, because all the stories, all the folktale of everything I've heard about this character is terrifying. And I don't understand how we haven't gotten good films about this, like really tense thrillers about this type of stories, and they never get made. And honestly, I really want some form of Aboriginal Skinwalker story in any movie, not just Trick or Treat, but I think Trick or Treat would be a cool place for it to show up, definitely. Another cool idea, you could probably mix the Wendigo and witch stories together to create this like hybrid. Because like I said, you don't need to just make it about one type of character, but you could definitely kind of mix and match and make your own thing. And I think that's the beauty of horror filmmaking, and another reason why this movie could just be so frickin' awesome if they took a shot at it. And I think it could be really cool. But yeah, I honestly just wanted to talk about Trick or Treat today, and I'm excited for the sequel that's getting announced. Or did get announced, but I really hope this franchise goes somewhere. I think there's a lot of different opportunities for films to go in an anthology style film, and I hope they just continue to make them, because honestly, they need to, because I think this is definitely a franchise where there's so much opportunity, and I hope it takes it somewhere. But anyways, that's the video. I hope everyone watching enjoyed the video. I hope you like and subscribe down below. I'll be hopefully posting content more regularly for Halloween, as it is the best month of the year. But I hope you guys have a great day. See ya.